It's time for On Point with Julian Phillips.
So I was leaving the house the other day, a few days ago, and I was heading out the house, and my house sits like on a little bit of a hill, so the street is below. And so one of my neighbors was walking his dog passes by, and I'm in a rush because I have someplace to go, and I was kind of late. And he says, Julian, I just need to get a word with you real quickly. I'm saying, okay, what is it? He says, well, he happens to be white. I'm the only black person in my neighborhood anyway, but whatever. And he says, I've been looking at so many things on TV the past month or two. And, of course, Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And, I'm kind of feeling guilty about things that I didn't really know about when it comes to issues of race and all those things. And so I said, okay, well, this is going to be like a much longer conversation than I really have time for. But I said, I'm going to be late, but let me engage him. And I said, his name is Tom. I said, Tom, you can't feel guilty about things that you don't know of or that, you are ignorant of. I mean, the only thing is if you finally find out something, then it's up to you to act on it one way or another. If you feel that there was an injustice, or you feel that in this particular case it was issues of race, that you've now been enlightened, then now you have the opportunity to do something about it, or you don't. So the conversation continued on, and I was trying to help him through this whole thing, and kind of walk him through certain things, and especially when it comes to issues of race and racism. And Tom was very open, but he said something to me, and I said, "Look," I said, "Here's a simple thing, Tom. I'm talking to you about this, but here's the bottom line. You gotta understand something when it comes to race in this country. In this country," I said, race, or the issue of racism, is not my problem. It's your problem. It's your people's problem. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, I said, look, you don't have to deal with redlining. You didn't have to deal with Jim Crow. You didn't have to deal with lynchings. You don't have to worry about running down the street with somebody calling you the N-word or whatever. Your ancestors didn't have to worry about slavery. You didn't have to worry about where you can buy a home. See, racism is a problem that was put on Black folk. So a lot of times I hear from some of my white friends asking me if I can help solve the problem. Well, how can I help solve a problem that I didn't create? You see, I mean, this is your problem. And I said, until white Americans are willing to confront and deal with this issue of racism that still perpetuates itself to this day, then we're always going to it's always going to be a problem. It's your burden, your people's burden. You folks have to step up to the plate. I can't solve your problem. And his mouth, his jaw dropped, and he looked at me, and he kind of said, yeah, I guess you're right, Julian. So often, Black folks have been pulled into this position, this arena where we are the ones that kind of have to solve their problem. What is it that we can do, or how can we console the massa? How can we make things easier for them to deal with this? How can we have them take medicine to cure their ills for problems that they created? So maybe that medicine, what was that thing in Mary Poppins, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down? Well, in this particular case, Ain't nothing sweet here. It's a hard conversation, or at least a hard reality, and one that must be addressed, because if it's never addressed, we will continue to go around this circle of insanity forever. This is the same thing, for instance, politically with Trump and the lie that there was some fraud in this election, and you have, what's it now, 67% of Republicans that believe this. Well, they believe it because certain people, and of course one particular person who started all this, is unwilling to say that it's a lie. So it's a problem. But we, on the other hand, who didn't create this problem politically, are the ones who are being forced to kind of try to deal with it, to persuade people that the election wasn't a fraud. There wasn't widespread fraud in the election. Well, so too with race. Many times, people of color have to try to be the better person, or they'd say the better man, to deal with this, to show something. Martin Luther King did it, and in a very great way. You can't get rid of darkness with darkness. You have to get rid of darkness with light, and so there is some validity to it. But for the most part, though, the issue of race in this country is not our problem. And so there has to be some sort of reckoning with our white brothers and sisters about this. And, I think things are coming around, but for far too many, it's still a problem that they're looking for us to solve. And we can't solve it. It's not our condition. I left that conversation, and, I guess the reason why I'm talking about it is it's not the first one that I've had. And, I'm a little older now, and I guess I'm kind of tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of explaining the same old thing over and over and over and over again. And I'm just wondering if in my lifetime, there may be a bigger breakthrough, a hope that this reckoning that our white brothers and sisters have to deal with will come. It has for a good many. I have a number of white friends, very dear and close to me, and they get it. But I just encounter too many that don't. I was telling my doctor, who happens to be white and Jewish, we're the same age, and he's a great guy. But, I told him, Art, there's not one day I leave my house where the issue of race does not come up. It comes up every day in some form or fashion for me. This doesn't happen for you. And, I was in the examination room, and he was quiet, and he had to agree. So, you go out of the house every day, you wake up and race is on the front and center somewhere, or it comes up somehow. And you say, man, look, is this Groundhog's Day? I think Groundhog's Day is a reality for many Black folks. Every day, you look it up and see if you see your shadow, and there it is. So I'm tired. Well, I think a lot of us are tired. And we're hoping for a better day. We're hoping that at some point that there is a reckoning, that racism as it exists is not our problem. There's so many other problems that we have to deal with. And we're going to talk about some of those and more of those next week. Have a good one.